My question is for the Acting Premier. There is no doubt the government's retaliatory unfair procurement legislation, Bill 194, is nothing more than an election ploy by an out-of-touch, out-of-ideas government. This is a government that does not understand business. And clearly, Speaker, this government does not even care to understand business. And this bill makes it painfully obvious. Threatening Ontario's largest trading partners is not an appropriate response. So, Speaker, will the government come clean and admit this is just a crass political ploy and not a real solution to help Ontario business?
Acting Premier.
Speaker, Minister of Economic Development and Growth.
Minister of Economic Development and Growth.
Thanks so much, Speaker. You know, I find it deeply, deeply troubling, Speaker, that a member of the official opposition, a member of the Conservative Party, would stand in this place, Speaker, and make it abundantly clear that that party.
As nice as I was, I can be bad. The heckling stops, or we'll move into warnings. Carry on.
Thanks very much, Speaker. As I was saying, that a member of Ontario's Conservative Party would stand here in their place and make it completely and abundantly clear that they have no interest.
The member from Leeds Grenville is warned. Anyone else want a warning? Carry on.
As I was saying, Speaker, and make it abundantly clear that the Conservative Party has no interest in standing up for the businesses and workers and families of this province, Speaker, is a very sad comment on where that party stands in this
Thank
province.
you. We're in warnings. Supplementary.
Back to the Acting Premier, Speaker. Rocco Rossi, President of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, summed it up pretty well. He said, positive diplomatic relations should always be our priority when it comes to trade discussions. We are concerned with any approach that risks escalation of trade barriers, especially when it is taken only by Ontario. No other province in Canada has legislation in place that would escalate trade sanctions. Speaker, the Ontario Chamber of Commerce believes that the best approach for Ontario is the formation of positive bilateral cooperation with our American neighbours. Speaker, why is this Liberal government risking our province's relationships for their own political gain?
Minister.
Thanks very much, Speaker. I would say to the Conservative member opposite to not hide behind the Ontario Chamber of Commerce and just admit here in this chamber, that they have no interest in standing up for the workers and businesses and families of this province.
The member from Niagara West Glanbrook is warned. Finish.
Speaker, there is a reason that the economic track record in this province is so stellar and has been for a number of months, in fact years, Speaker. Job creation, GDP growth, we're leading in the country, unemployment lower than it's been at any point in the last 17 years, and that's because our government makes the right kind of investments, and fundamentally, we stand up for the people that we're proud to represent. It's why the Premier has been engaging with American governors. It's why various ministers have been front and centre on the NAFTA talks. And it's why, Speaker, we will never apologize for standing up for the workers, families and businesses, because unlike the Conservatives, we are on the side of all Ontarians.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Back to the Acting Premier. The Liberals never seem to understand how business works in Ontario, and this legislation goes to show some things never change. As our leader said last week, something this important cannot be rushed through.
Stop the clock. Minister of Economic Development and Trade is warned. Growth. I wouldn't take the risk. Finish, please.
This government's knee-jerk reaction is simply politics in place of good policy. They did not put forward a well-crafted, well-thought-out, meaningful response to American policies that could impact Ontario. The Unfair Procurement Act is simply making a threat. Speaker, will the Liberals put the province first once and for all instead of their political ploys?
Minister.
President of the Treasury Board.
President, Treasury Board.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Speaker, it's rather rich, Speaker, to stand on this side of the House where we're standing up for Ontario workers and businesses, to hear the rhetoric from the opposite side, Speaker. This in the absence of a coherent, cohesive response to what's happening south of the border. Speaker, it's important to note, that this party opposite derailed the debate on this important legislation last week. We are showing leadership, Speaker. We are out in front of this. Our Premier has been in front of it. My colleagues, the Minister of Trade.
The member from Dufferin-Caledon is warned.
My colleague, the Minister of Trade and the Minister of Economic Development and Growth. If this party opposite had been paying attention, Speaker, they would have noticed that they've been in the United States talking to our key trading partners, and on behalf of Canadian and Ontario workers and businesses, that's where we stand, Speaker. I'm not sure where they stand, but this is where